Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked. Well, then hello and welcome to episode 58. That's what we've decided this was.
If it's really
Hopefully
what
we're
episode
right.
it is. Somebody's screaming at us. They're like, you're an idiot.
Whatever. Do we have fun facts for this episode? Oh my gosh, let me tell you about this real quick. So
Okay.
I was like, oh, I'm going to find myself another law. It's been a couple episodes, and I started looking for a law so that I could tell you. And then I found a law that I wanted to read.
Okay.
But then I found this thing. My husband got, it's a calendar. And every day it has a fun fact, like a desk calendar. You rip it off and it's a fun fact every day. And I saw this one and I was like, okay, never mind. I have to read this instead. So.
All right.
The horned lizard.
Oh, I already don't like this.
Can shoot blood from its eyes.
No!
Up to 3 feet as a defense mechanism.
No.
Why?
Fuck that.
I apologize for that information.
Why out of its eye? Is that your fun fact? That's your fun
know.
fact, right?
That's my fun fact.
You can't disturb me twice today. That's not allowed.
Correct. Not today. Well, I might disturb you in a little bit with my episode. So
Yes. Ugh. Why?
I
What?
apologize. Tell me something silly and goofy that is a fun fact instead.
Well, now I need to change my fun fact.
Oh no,
God.
was yours disturbing too?
Well,
We're just gonna have a disturbing episode.
Yeah, right. Welcome, guys. Mine was about the terminology burned at the stake coming from the Salem witch trials and witch trials in general, whereas most accused witches were never actually burned at the stake. The majority were jailed or hanged, and of the roughly 2,000 people accused, not one of them was burned at the stake. So I don't know where that saying came from in terms of witch business.
Right.
Maybe that'll be
I
a
don't
fun
think
fact
it
for
had
another day, but
Yeah, I don't. From what I remember, I don't think it had anything to do with witch business. The first ever burned at the stake that I remember learning about was Joan of Arc. So
yes.
And she was not a witch. She was just a badass bitch.
Right? They get burned at the stakes,
I mean,
too.
same.
All witches are. Yeah, exactly.
There was this town that me and Jesse were looking at moving to here in Tennessee. And it was just, I think I told you about it. It was the town, it was right by where it looks like a lake.
Yeah,
town,
yeah.
Right? So
With the
a couple
mushroom
streets
curtains.
over, yes, a couple streets over from that, there was this weird little neighborhood, and it was like this it looked like it was supposed to be like bleachers watching an event or something, but it was super crowded. There was one podium and there was just seats everywhere, and we were like, what the hell is that? We found out that it was some outdoor church congregation choir area.
Interesting.
And there was like a church next to it. There was like it looked like a cult. The whole
creepy.
area, like the whole block looked like some cults owned this shit. And as we were driving through, I was like, we need to go right now. These people will literally burn me at the stake. They will literally burn me. Okay.
Sierra's
not okay.
Witchy senses.
We have to go.
Off the hook.
Yeah.
Everybody get me out of here. Jesus.
They think I'm Satan. Please leave.
Yeah. Which is a very common misconception, guys. Go listen to Sierra's segment on Witches Wanted if you want more information on everyday witchy business and a little bit of learning and growth for yourself on Patreon. Patreon.com/twisted and uncorked. There are 6 episodes out for your enjoyment.
Another thing for your enjoyment that you can also find on twistedanduncorked.com is our sangria recipes for this week.
Look, you're like becoming a segue queen lately. And I like deliver them, and then I have no idea that it was perfect until you take it. I love it. It's like 3 weeks in a row, guys. Somebody tell me we're wrong. We're a good team. I'm just saying. But yes, the sangria is not so shabby.
What is really good. So this one's kind of more like a cocktail a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still wine and fruit, so sangria, okay? But it's half Cabernet Sauvignon, the Boda Mini that we have, half vodka. So like equal parts Cab Sauv and vodka.
She
and
boozy,
then,
in other words.
Yes. And then lemon juice and simple syrup, and then blueberries for your fruit. And it is freaking delicious.
It is really good. It's simple, exactly as it sounds.
Super simple. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of the one we did earlier on. I think it was episode 11. The one with the 3 different citruses with the red wine, the orange, the lime, and the lemon.
Oh, yeah.
And that one was really tart. I like it with just the lemon and a little bit of simple syrup. And I like it.
Yeah, when I first took a sip of this, my first sip I did not like, because I didn't mix it all the way. I had the lemon right on top and I didn't have a straw, and I just sipped it and I was like, that is way too much lemon mixed with the wine, and it just tastes tart. It was gross.
Yeah.
And then I got a straw and I put it in, I drank it from the bottom, and I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. The simple
really
syrup
good.
makes it, guys.
Yeah.
I know I am the queen for cutting out the sugars on our drinks, but I would not recommend it for this one. And if you're a lazy ass, you could just put sugar in it.
Yeah, I
might be looking at myself. Hey, Twisted Humans. Amidst this, Sierra's son walked in after losing a tooth. Her husband then came in a few minutes later, stating that he had written a note to the tooth fairy that he wanted $100 for his tooth.
Anyway, what do we rate this drink?
I don't know if I can rate it after that.
I know. I think I just need to drink more of it.
It's definitely not worth $100.
No.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5, an 8. We've had so many super summer reminiscent sangrias lately that this is a very wintry one. I'm not ready to dive into it. I love it, but I'm thinking warmer weather now. So
yeah, I agree. I don't remember.
Give it an 8.
I think I gave the drink an 8, and I think I would just match. Same thing.
We both gave the wine
as good
an 8,
as the drink is. Yeah, the wine. Sorry, it's just as good as the wine. You're gonna need it. Today we are covering a disappeared case.
Yeah, and you're gonna need to donate to our Patreon because Sierra's children are asking for $100 per tooth now. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm joking.
Please buy me a beer. I need it.
Yeah, because she's stressed. Because she's gonna have to take out a part-time job for these teeth.
Seriously.
She doesn't even want to keep.
What do I even do with them?
What do parents do with their teeth? My mom kept my first one. But, what do you do with teeth?
I have no idea if my mom still has mine, but I have this little teeny tiny box full of my daughters. I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, it's not
I can't
very
let her
well
know that I have them because she thinks the tooth fairy has them.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't even remember what I was saying. You guys should definitely check out our friends over at Two Guys, One Crime, formerly known as Botox with Big Jim. We love them so much. They've been on a couple episodes of ours, and they're the best. Yeah. Here's their promo. That was an awesome fucking promo. I love their promo so much that we may have followed in their footsteps for future trailers, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway, today we are talking about a disappeared case. The story that I chose to tell you takes place in Bulgaria and is about a German citizen.
Oh, wow.
The reason I have to bring all this up is because when we cover stories with information in different languages, it is harder to get a lot of specific details. There are tons of sources out there, but most of them say the same thing over and over, and some are in different languages with loose translation. But I think I have enough. Before I do missing persons or disappeared cases, I usually do a quick Google search of podcasts about this person, because sometimes podcast hosts are able to talk to family members and do interviews, and I want to incorporate that information. So, although I didn't find any, right. So even though I didn't find any interviews, the podcast that I listened to did have a lot of really good information. And so I wanted to mention that I did use some podcasts as my sources today, and those are Voices for Justice, True Crime All the Time, and Stuff You Should Know.
Awesome.
So this is a disappearance story, and I wanted to give you a little bit of information about the missing persons scene over in Europe. Over here in America, it seems like people go missing hourly and are just, like, never found.
Let me guess, that's worse over there?
Well, people go missing a lot here, and it seems like they're never found. And then the people that we do find have a hard time being identified. But there are many more people here than over there. In the UK, 80% of missing people are found within 24 hours.
What?
And only 3% of people are still missing after a year. So it is not super common over there for a missing persons case to turn into a full-on mystery.
Whoa.
But this missing persons case did. Lars Mittank was born on February 9th, 1986, which is the same birthday as my husband, by the way.
Same.
Yeah, and he was an only child. He was from Germany, where he worked as an engineer at a power plant. According to sources, he was handsome, popular, a vegetarian, very athletic, and he was just super healthy. He was very involved with his family and talked to his mother daily.
I already feel bad about myself. He sounds like a stand-up citizen.
Right. Lars Mittank was last seen on July 8th, 2014, when he was 28 years old. People think that maybe he had schizophrenia or depression. Maybe he was targeted by a gang or a hitman. Maybe he ran away from his life. Maybe he had a concussion and just doesn't know who he is. Maybe he is involved in a cover-up by the government or doctors. Maybe he accidentally boarded a wrong plane and ended up in an unknown location, or maybe he decided to do some hard drugs and became paranoid and confused. Those are the theories to keep in mind. Have you ever heard of this story, by the way?
No.
No? You are probably not alone.
Sounded familiar to me, but not what you've given me so far.
Right. So you are probably not alone. Lars is considered to be the most famous missing person on YouTube. That is because there is a video on YouTube that shows his bizarre last moments before he completely vanished. As interesting
and let
as
me
that
guess,
may be,
you're going to share it with us today.
I will, yes. As interesting as that video may be, do not rush off to watch it right away, because that is actually one of the main issues with this case not being solved. Most people have seen the video, but they don't even know his name. It's easy to forget that the creepy, mysterious, weird, and unbelievable pieces of true crime are still true crime, because sometimes it is so strange that it feels like fiction.
Yeah. I feel like Elisa Lam's video...
Literally, sorry. I was about to say that. No, don't
we
be
do
sorry.
this to each other all the time. We have the same brain.
Yes.
But yes, I feel like that case is very similar in the fact that people focus solely on that being what could have happened. It's good to speculate on, but it can't be the only thing.
The elevator video is known by people all over the world who don't even like true crime particularly. But the information behind who she was as a person and where she was from and why she was there and what really happened to her, nobody knows any of that. So, yeah, if we think of these videos as fiction because they seem like they should be, then we don't live like they're the truth and the answers never come. And the information is what's going to solve the case, not the creepy video. Even though, obviously, we're going to watch the creepy video. That's part of it. But it's just a small part of it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of our job as true crime podcasters, to raise awareness to every aspect of the cases that we cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so unfortunately, the 55-second creepy video has millions of likes on YouTube of Lars, but the videos of, like, the actual case information that are longer have only a couple thousand. So,
When you
sad.
go and follow us, make sure that you go and check these videos out that are on our website and our sources for this episode. Give them some notoriety, because that is inevitably what leads to more information and cases being solved.
Exactly.
I know we're small potatoes in the world, but it's good to mention. So
it's okay. So obviously we are going to watch the creepy video eventually. It is part of the case, but at least listen to the information that I'm telling you first, because the video only tells of one singular day and just a few minutes of Lars's life. There are multiple days that led up to his disappearance that may help us find where he is now. So, without further ado, let's talk about what led up to all of this in the days before he disappeared. As much as Lars seemed to love his life and his home and his career, he was having a rough couple of months before this all happened, according to the Stuff You Should Know podcast. His father had had a stroke recently, and his mother was needing to take care of him in recovery. It was stressful for her, so Lars came to visit them every weekend to help her out. He would drive over an hour one way to be there with them every single weekend. He never let it show that things were rough for him, but seeing your family like that and feeling like you have to take care of the people that used to take care of you is probably at the very least stressful. So when 5 of Lars's friends invited him to a summer vacation at the Golden Sands Resort in Bulgaria, and he hesitated, his mom encouraged him to go out with his friends. She told him that he deserved some fun and some time away from all the little worries. They would be just fine without him for a weekend or two. You're raising your hand.
I'm sorry, where is Bulgaria?
Bulgaria is... Okay, so I actually had this in my notes and I took it out because I felt like an idiot. I thought Bulgaria was a city in Germany. It is its own country, but it is like, it touches Germany. Like, it's right there.
So in my head, I was like, okay, this is in Germany, but I was like, wait, Bulgaria, that sounds familiar. Okay.
Yeah, Bulgaria is a republic. It's its own thing now.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Czech Republic. Like, it used to be part of a country, but now it's its own country. Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense. I was just like, I'm an idiot, but I'm trying to picture a map in my brain.
No, I literally had like
Bulgaria.
I literally had like a whole 2 paragraphs about how I recently discovered Bulgaria was its own country and like apologizing to Bulgarians, and I was like, you know what? I'm an idiot. I'm not going to say that. So I'm glad to know you
but
also didn't know.
Meanwhile, your twisted twin is also an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Bulgarians.
You're welcome, Sierra.
So no problem. Lars's mom successfully convinced him to go on this vacation, but this vacation was a lot different than all the other ones he had taken before. His mom wasn't actually aware of where he was going. She just knew, it's a vacation, you should go. Lars was the kind of person who usually vacationed at a place where he could book an outing or a sport, like going fishing or kayaking or that sort of things. You know, he's a super healthy, athletic guy.
Okay.
This vacation was to a very well-known party destination for young adults. So for people who live on the East Coast, think of Panama City Beach when MTV was still hosting Spring Break. And if you live on the West Coast, think Vegas. On June 30th, 2014, the 6 of them flew into Bulgaria to start their wild vacation at a 4-star, all-inclusive hotel. While many people drank and partied at the pool in the hot hours of the day, Lars spent most of his time on the beach playing soccer, or what they called football, with some younger kids, fresh out of high school. When later asked, the high schoolers described him as being friendly and sociable. The partying and hanging out went on for a couple of days with nothing notable. His friends did mention that he didn't eat much except for soups and salads and some fruit, even though the hotel stay was all-inclusive. But remember, Lars was a vegetarian, so there is a possibility that there just weren't any better options for him to snack on.
Yeah.
The concerning thing started to happen a few days later on July 3rd. They all went out to a bar called Mystery of the Golden Sands to watch a soccer game. The game was a big deal because it was during the World Cup. Neither Germany, where Lars was from, or Bulgaria, where they were at, was playing in this game. But that doesn't really matter. A lot of people bring this up as like, oh, why is he so serious about this game? It's not even his team. But people can have favorite teams that aren't necessarily where they live. People can have favorite players that aren't on their favorite teams, like in fantasy leagues. And sometimes people are just really invested in games, even when none of their favorite teams or players are playing. So, like, that's not a weird thing to me.
No, like the Pittsburgh Penguins are probably my second favorite NHL team, and I'm Canadian, so.
Yeah, I am from Ohio, where there is no hockey team, and I root for Tampa, so.
And the Vancouver Canucks, because of your bestie over here.
So the game didn't even start until 11 p.m., so it was already super late when they were watching this. At some point in the night, there was an argument due to a misunderstanding. It was between some high school graduates and the group Lars was with, but mostly Lars, since he was the one who was most into sports. The argument was intense enough that the kids suggested it wouldn't be hard to hire someone to beat up Lars. But the argument didn't last very long. Eventually the kids left. Lars and his friends stayed until closing. They were literally the last ones at the bar at 4 a.m. having a great time. After the bar closed, a few of Lars's friends wanted to go out to McDonald's to get some purse burgers, or whatever men call it. And this is where stories start to get mixed up. Probably because
Kevin to go get me a purse burger right now.
I wish my husband would leave the house and give me a purse burger.
Jesse.
No, he's like already in bed. It's 10 o'clock here, so.
Well, if you're gonna fork out $100 for that too, you're gonna
we are not
a purse burger. I know you're not.
This is where the stories start to get mixed up, probably because they were all drunk and don't actually remember what happened, and so they said different things. Some sources said that the 5 friends went in McDonald's while Lars waited outside for them, and when they came out, he was gone. But the McDonald's they went to didn't have an inn. It was an outdoor McDonald's, like where you just walk up and order from a window. So maybe they meant that he waited from farther away, like away from the line or something. Yeah, so it's like, have you ever been to a Checkers or a Rally's?
Neither exist in Canada.
No? Okay. Well, for American listeners, Checkers or Rally's, it was that kind of McDonald's. I'm trying to think. Have you seen the McDonald's, the movie about the guy?
Yeah.
The founder.
Ate 3 meals a day, yeah.
The founder?
Yeah.
The guy who, like, invented McDonald's. That one.
Oh.
Okay. I think it's on Netflix. It's actually really interesting.
Is it like a walk-up situation?
Yes. Yeah, you just walk up. Like, it's like a...
Like a drive-through window, but you walk up to the window instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's how the very first ever
in high
McDonald's
school,
was.
And I didn't like it when you pretended to drive through the drive-through.
Oh,
They didn't like that at all.
I did that at Taco Bell one time with my friend.
We made it very convincing, though.
Yeah, you sit. Yes. No, listen. There was 4 of us, okay? One person sat in the sitting position with her hands up, and the rest of us all sat in the sitting position and, like, tried to order. And he was like, you can't do that without a car. Yeah, he was like, I'm sorry, we can't take your order. You're not in a car. And so we literally,
So fucked up.
my friend Gina lived right across the street. So we walked back to our house, got the car, and came through the drive-thru and was like, "Suck it, bitch. Like, now we got a car." And they were
Why
like, "I'm sorry,
not?
excuse me?" And I was like, can we get a couple soft tacos? Like, we just really want some food.
Please don't take away my taco experience here.
Please give
But
me some
hey,
tacos.
come on, that's like carist. Like, okay, maybe I can't
No,
afford
it's
a car,
actually a
and
safety
you
hazard.
are. Is it?
Yeah, they don't want you to like lean into the pickup window and like, steal their money and stuff, because the cash register's right there.
Fair. Can't say I ever would, but they didn't like it when we tried it in high school either.
Yeah, same.
We were very convincing. We even made like car noises and like put seatbelts on.
Yeah,
We
they
were
have
very
cameras.
upset.
So
Well, you're welcome, Langley McDonald's employees circa 2011.
oh my goodness gracious. Anyway,
I get what you mean, though.
yes.
Walk
Okay.
up kind
So
of window.
that was one story, is that, they walked up and, well, the story was that they went in and he waited outside. Obviously, they didn't go in because there was no inn, so maybe he just waited farther away. But another source said that because Lars was a vegetarian and didn't like the unhealthy food options at McDonald's, he just told his friends automatically, like, "I'm not going to McDonald's. You guys go ahead. I'll just meet you at the hotel." And so they walked in completely different directions. Either way, at some point in this night, his friends are at McDonald's and Lars is separated, completely by himself.
That makes me sad considering what we know happens, but
Yeah. Well,
I kind of get it because McDonald's doesn't have a lot of vegetarian options. So
Yeah.
anybody that works at McDonald's or for McDonald's that are listening, let this be a safety tip to you.
yeah, have you ever had the Impossible Whopper from Burger King?
Oh my god, so good.
Tastes like a real
Tastes
fucking
exactly
burger.
like a fucking Whopper.
Like, I think they
have
might
it
be
all the
lying.
time.
It's really good.
I ordered it and I thought they fucked up by mistake one
Yeah.
day. It's so
really
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Plant-based.
Come on,
Come
McDonald's.
on, McDonald's.
Step it up.
Get on it.
When his friends arrive back at the hotel, Lars isn't there, and no one knows where he is. But they're on vacation. Lars is a 28-year-old man. He can take care of himself, and his friends aren't too worried. Just because Lars had a girlfriend back home doesn't mean his friends would be extremely surprised to know that he went out and stayed with someone else, It's
Oh,
vacation. Who knows? So they just went to bed.
what are men?
Right. Lars did eventually come back to the hotel that night / super early in the morning. And when his friends asked him, like, "Hey man, what the fuck happened last night?" Lars had a strange story to tell. He said that on his walk back to the hotel, he was jumped. He was attacked by 4 men who were either Bulgarian or Russian. He assumed that those kids that he had an argument with at the bar were probably responsible for hiring these 4 guys.
No.
During the fight, he got hit in his ear really hard, and he's pretty sure that it ruptured his eardrum. That is all he remembered, and he just wanted to sleep it off. So again, that's super late night, super early morning. Late night, July 3rd, early morning, July 4th.
And that
The
can really
next-
fuck with your, like, equilibrium, with your everything.
Yeah. So on July 5th, Lars called his girlfriend and tells her the same story about his weird encounter and his fight and his hurting ear. She tells him to go and see a doctor, but he says he's just fine. They're leaving soon anyway. And the rest of the vacation went as well as it had before. They partied, they had a good time, they had no worries.
Oh, no. Famous last words.
The friends all planned to head home on July 7th. But when that day came, Lars was scared to get on the airplane with a hurt ear. Airplanes mean different altitudes, and different altitudes means popping ears.
Fair.
Lars?
I don't blame him.
Yeah. Lars contacts a doctor, and they tell him that, yes, it will probably hurt more if you fly. So now Lars has to change his travel plans. Lars's friends say that they'll figure out a way for one of them to stay with him while he waits for his ear to heal up. But Lars doesn't want to inconvenience anyone. He had gotten travel insurance, and it would cover the cost of him staying while he healed or found a new way home. His friends headed out to the airport, and Lars finally headed in to see a doctor about what to do next, what medicine to take, or when it would be safe to travel back home. Lars would later tell his mom that the doctor he saw was strange. It was like the doctor... Hang on, my door is creaking. The doctor wouldn't even speak English to him, so Lars could barely understand what he was saying. But he was written a prescription for an antibiotic to treat a ruptured eardrum. So a ruptured eardrum...
Is this gonna be like, what's his face with the tooth?
No.
Are you... Oh, no.
This is a disappeared case. Calm down.
I know, but I was like, what is happening?
So a ruptured eardrum is what Lars told his friends that he had after getting hit in the ear, but it's unclear if he was told this by a doctor that night or if he just thought that was what happened. We also know that he was told not to fly, but we don't know if he was actually seen yet at the time, so it's possible that he had just spoken to someone on the phone about it. And I say that because when digging into the problem further, it's actually found out that it is not an issue at all to fly with a ruptured eardrum. Flying with a hurt eardrum may rupture it, but if it's already ruptured, it's not going to cause any more pain.
Yeah.
So the reason
the damage it can do.
Exactly. So the reason he doesn't fly is either all a misunderstanding or some creepy mystery.
Ugh.
Whatever the case is, he doesn't fly. Instead, he stopped by a drugstore to pick up his prescription and found a hotel with some availability. Since it was the busy months of vacation season, most of the hotels were already booked, but as he looked at 10 p.m. that night, he found vacancy at a shady little hotel near the airport. Some sources say that Lars didn't even want to go into the store next door to the hotel because there were scary men inside. It was that shady.
Oh. I can picture that exactly at a hotel in Vancouver. Oh, no.
When Lars checked into the hotel, his bank card was copied by the desk attendant, and Lars is kind of freaked out by that. He goes to his room, drops off his things, and then heads to the hotel bar to get some water so he could take his antibiotics. So at 11 p.m. that night, Lars calls his mom from his cell phone and lets her know that he is almost out of minutes. Again, this is 2014. Lars did not bring his smartphone with him, although he did have one, but he didn't bring it with him to another country because he didn't want to be distracted by work calls and things like that while on vacation. It's also probably pretty expensive to make long-distance calls when you're on, like, a phone plan from a smartphone. When I was stationed in the Middle East, we used minute phones, too, because it was easier to call home with one,
cheaper than smart homes.
Yeah. Minute phones, for the youngins here, are also sometimes known as burner phones. You pay for it in advance.
Those are the same thing? Oh.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not, a smartphone. It doesn't have the tracking device.
I thought burner phones were something totally different than old school phones.
Yeah, no. Burner phone literally just means you have a SIM card and you have to put minutes on it. That's it. Because you can take the SIM card out and break it.
I learned that those are different than... that they're not different than regular phones.
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
So
I
yeah,
get it. The youngins don't know the difference between a smartphone and what we dealt with as teenagers. So fair.
Right. Yeah, you just pay in advance for a set amount of minutes, and you're able to talk for that many minutes. It's a minute phone.
Yeah, and you had to call on this little card that had a code on it when you would go to buy it, and it's a pain in the fucking ass.
In the phone call, Lars also tells his mom about the fight he was in, the medication he was prescribed, and how he had to stay in Bulgaria a while longer. He asked her to call his travel insurance and report the claim since he didn't want to waste the minutes on his phone. They get off the phone, she calls him back a little later, she lets him know that she submitted a claim, and then Lars starts telling her more about his day. Specifically, he was telling her that he was kind of scared where he was. He tells her about the sketchy hotel and that they copied his credit card. He tells her that he doesn't really want to be there anymore, and he asks if she could put a temporary hold on his credit card so that no one sketchy could try and use it. She tells Lars that the bank isn't able to put a hold on the card, but they could cancel it altogether and just order a new one. And he's like, yeah, do that. He had plenty of cash to get him through until tomorrow. She also booked Lars a bus ride home for 11:30 p.m. the next night, just in case he can't fly because of his ear again. She didn't want him to not have enough money for more nights there, and so this reservation would be a good backup to get him home.
Aww.
She tells him to get some sleep, and then she gets off the phone. Another phone call later in the same night to his mother consisted of Lars just telling her again that he cannot be at the hotel. The hotel's name, by the way, is the Hotel Color.
Oh.
He said that he thought the room might be bugged and that he was being watched. He eventually got off the phone, but ended the conversation by saying, I have got to get out of here.
Oh my god.
Lars did not go to sleep, and he was actually seen pacing in the hotel's common areas until finally leaving the hotel at 2:30 a.m. on the early morning of July 8th when he called his mother again. He told her that he left the hotel, but he was being followed by 4 men. On the phone, he said he was really high up and could fall down, but she didn't know where he actually was. The call was short, as Lars had to get off, but he does text her back soon after he gets off the phone. At 3:06 a.m., he texts her about his medication that was prescribed earlier, and the text said, Cefazole 500, what is this? Then at 3:15, he sent the same text message again, Cefazole 500, what is this? His mom says she worried that he was in hiding because of their phone call earlier, and she didn't want his phone to make a noise and give him away. So she didn't respond yet. She just booked him a plane for around 4 p.m. later that day. She was scared and wanted to get him home as soon as possible, so she was trying to give him options. Lars must have been hiding outside all the while it was dark, and as far as we know, he wasn't ever found by whoever it was that was looking for him. The next morning, around 5 a.m., he was spotted trying to flag down a taxi. The driver already had a passenger inside, but he could tell that Lars looked frightened, and so he stopped to pick him up anyway. The driver and the passenger that was already inside said that Lars's pupils seemed to be dilated when he got inside. But the driver took him to the airport as asked. Lars calls his mom on the phone and lets her know that the phone was dying and she had to be quick, but he really needed some money wired to him. He specifically asked her to send the money through Western Union, which she thought was odd because she knew that he had never used Western Union before.
Yikes.
Apparently, some guy at the airport had actually told him about it, and Lars explained the whole thing to his mother, like how Western Union worked, what it was, what she should do, this and that.
I already don't like it.
Yeah. He didn't actually say how much he needed, so she just wired 500 euros, thinking that it would get him to wherever he might need to go on his way back home.
It's still like $1,000.
Honestly, why? I don't know.
I mean, like, if I
just
had
get
a
on the
child
plane.
in
She already paid for it.
If I had a
Get
child
on
in
the
the
plane.
same situation, this is like the European braceless pizza. Like, this is
Yes,
killing
that's
me.
another one. Yeah.
This is killing me. It's like the contact with your family, and then, okay, I'm moving. And then the contact with your family, okay, I'm moving. Like,
Yeah.
that's...
Well, the biggest difference, and probably the one that made it the hardest, is they're in different countries.
Yeah.
She can't just go there without, like, having a passport and all
It's
this
not
stuff.
like a couple-hour drive kind of situation to go and meet your family.
Yeah.
Still fucked.
I know. While still on the phone with him, Lars's mom made sure that he knew his flight and bus information and told him to go and talk to the airport doctor before getting on the flight just to make sure it was okay to fly. And if not, get on that bus and head home. Lars said he was already told that he shouldn't fly or drive, but it may have been because he was all messy and dirty from hiding out the night before. So his mother talks him into cleaning up a little in the bathroom and then going to see the airport doctor again. Which, by the way, I've never been to an airport that had doctors. Do Canadian airports have doctors? Okay.
No.
It's a European thing, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure if you needed medical attention in an airport, they would find someone for you. But it's not like a school nurses station kind of sitch.
Right. Well, here it is, strangely.
Apparently.
Lars goes and sees the airport doctor at about 9 a.m., but he never talks to his mom again. So the rest of the information we have comes from other sources whose stories aren't always the same. We don't know what is accurate information here. No. The doctor said that he told Lars he could fly with a waiver, and he gave him eardrops and a refill on his meds, but Lars wouldn't take the refilled medications. The doctor said that right before Lars signed the waiver, he wanted to go to the restroom, and then he just ran away and never came back.
Oh, no.
The doctor also gave another story where, before signing the waiver, Lars was in the exam room and someone walked in on him, which caused Lars to freak out and run away and never come back. Even in the second story, the doctor changes what he's saying a bunch. Sometimes the person who walks in the exam room is just some random person. Sometimes it's a construction worker who's working on the airport. And sometimes it's an airport worker who specifically asked to see Lars, which is what spooked him.
Okay.
Whatever the story is, one thing is for sure. Lars does freak out and run away. We know this because this is where the crazy YouTube video footage begins.
I was wondering where you were going to insert that.
Yes, I'm going to pull that up now for you and explain what you're about to see. So, when I pull it up, you will see Lars is in a yellow shirt. He runs out the front door of the airport really fast, leaving his bags. He's not carrying anything. Once outside the airport, he'll slow down and he'll pat his pants, ensuring that he has his wallet, which he does. And then he starts running again outside until eventually slowing his pace. Then he runs again, this time towards a fence. And that is all that's on the video. However, witnesses say that they saw him actually cross over this barbed wire fence that he runs to and then continues to run away from the airport. So let me show you the video real quick. This is the under 1 minute long video of what happens inside the airport. This right here, by the way,
I'm upset.
If y'all could see this, this is the hour-long video, and this one does have over 1 million views, but this one is not in English. This one is in German. So to find the one that is actually in English, obviously it'll be in our show notes, but you can also click on this one because it's the same guy. He does an English version. And the one in English only has like 60,000 views. Like, not many at all.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Sadly. Yeah.
So it blew up in Europe where the case takes place, but
right. But
it's not.
No one knows where he is right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the important part, because he could very well be in the US or Canada or any other country. Okay.
Exactly. Okay, so here's the video. This is him entering, and then we'll see him leaving.
Oh, I'm stressed. Okay.
He runs out. What the fuck? Why? And then he pats his butt there, like, oh, there's my thing. my wallet. And then he keeps running, now outside.
Sir.
Yeah. And then he starts to slow down, like, oh, I'm just walking. And then all of a sudden, he starts running again towards the fence.
What?
And that's it. And that's when people say that they saw him climb that fence, hop over it, and, continue running. And the fence, on the other side of that fence, is a field, and then a wooded area, and then a highway. And Lars is never seen again after this. Like, that's it. That's all. That's all we know about Lars.
So somebody had to have picked him up on the highway.
Maybe, yeah. So at 11 a.m., again, all of this happened at about 9 a.m. That's when he finally sees the doctor. At 11 a.m., his mother calls him again. She's like, hey, are you about to get on your flight? How did it go with the doctor? Trying to figure stuff out. But Lars doesn't answer. So she called the airport, and she's like, I need you to find my son. He's at the airport. I need to talk to him. No one was understanding her. There's a language barrier here. She's speaking German. They're speaking Bulgarian, maybe. I don't know if Bulgaria has their own language. Either way, she's trying to speak English, and nobody seems to give a shit. They're like, listen, woman, I can't understand you. You can't understand me. Okay, bye. Like, nobody wants to help. So she decided to
I've been
call
on the other end of those calls where you
Yeah.
can't totally understand based on accent, based on
Right. Yeah.
whatever. But it's like, try. Or, like,
Yeah.
they're going to be just as patient with you as you are with them.
Right.
It's what I've always found. So if you're like, okay, like, I'm not really getting what you're saying. I'm not really gathering. Like, can you please repeat that? Try. It'll take a little bit longer, but fuck. People are so impatient.
Yeah.
Just need a answer all the time.
Yeah. When she couldn't get anyone to help her at the airport, she called the consulate and she had to wait for a reply. But at 12 p.m., they did call her and tell her that her son was seen by a doctor and seemed to be completely fine. But then he asked to go to the restroom and he never came back. So they didn't know where he was.
Oh.
Lars's mother filed.
Away.
Well, yeah. Apparently they didn't notice.
Supposedly. Yeah.
Right. Lars's mother filed a missing persons report the very next day. And that's kind of where the story ends. But before we get into theories, I do want to give you a little bit of more information of things that might help you mark off some of the theories on your list. This is just information that his mother has gathered since then. So trying to get information from the Bulgarian government was pretty hard for Lars's mother. She eventually had to hire her own private investigator and also hired a Bulgarian lawyer. The PI said that being in the same area that Lars was in, he was not surprised that Lars felt watched at the sketchy hotel, the Hotel Color. He said it was definitely riddled with crime and the walls were paper thin, so he could hear everyone saying everything.
Oh, and if he heard something he wasn't supposed to?
Yeah. The PI also said that it is very possible that Lars was being stalked or watched by people who wanted to rob him. But the part that becomes unclear is no one knows why the hell or what the hell happened at the airport. He was so close to getting home and then he just vanished. The PI, the lawyer, and Lars's mother also got to see a little more footage than is shown in that YouTube video. Specifically, they saw a clip that shows Lars as he comes out of the airport and checks his pockets, just like we saw. But right after that, he looks around. He looks towards the Hotel Color, where he had been staying. He looks at 2 police cars, and then he looks in the direction that he eventually starts to run in. And they also see that as he's running farther and farther away, Lars was caught on camera, hiding from the view of police.
What?
He hides behind a sign, a bus, and a pile of sand before getting to the fence. And those things were taken out of the video that was shown to the public. Lars's mother believes that this was tactical movement, not like he was hallucinating, but like he was actually frightened of the police or someone else for some reason. She is also adamant that he was acting completely coherent on the phone calls. Yes, he was saying things that were not like him, but he wasn't slurring or saying things that didn't make sense. He was speaking in complete calm
It wasn't
sentences.
like a mental health break or something.
Right. Any other footage of Lars arriving to the airport, eating, cleaning up, remember we said he looked dirty and had to go to the bathroom and clean up? None of that footage has ever been handed over by the airport. And according to the police, they haven't even seen that footage. Lars's mother was given Lars's bags, and she said that he had all of the receipts from everything that he has ever done on his vacation in the bag, which was completely normal for Lars. He was a very neat and tidy person, and everything was neat and tidy, and that's how we know most of the stories, because he kept receipts of everything he did. The only things missing from his belongings were his wallet, passport, and his medication from the ruptured eardrum. The inventory sheet that the airport workers gave her with the bags actually had the medication listed as being in the bags, but she couldn't find them. So when she asked about it, they took the list from her and, went to consult with their higher-ups, I suppose. Like, hey, here's the list she gave. She said this wasn't there. And then they came back to her with a new inventory list where they had taken the meds off of the list, as if it had never happened.
Oh.
They're like, oh, here you go. Here's the corrected list. And she's like,
do we know what type of medication it was?
It was literally just an antibiotic. Well, what was prescribed to him was an antibiotic. That's another thing. So
that's why I was wondering, because I was like,
yeah.
Some certain medications can have really freaky side effects. So
yes. So Lars's mother was like, what the fuck? Why did you take this off of the list? Like, I saw it was there. And she said that the airport staff began acting weirdly loud and hostile, like yelling at her. But again, she had no idea what they were saying. She literally could not understand their language. And so she was like, whatever, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm leaving. And she left. Later, they told her that the police had already taken the pills. That's where they were. That's why they were missing. Allegedly, the police had confiscated them because they were medication, and so they had them all along.
You can say that, you sketchy fuck.
Yeah. Shortly after this incident, her Bulgarian lawyer told her that she needed to stop looking for her son. And so she fired him. She was like, what the fuck? Why aren't you helping me? There were searches done by local investigators and even her private investigator all around the area, but Lars was never found.
What?
So, yeah, that's that. There's a whole bunch of different theories, but you tell me what you think.
I have a few things in my mind. Starting from prescription medication, ending to possible human trafficking, like
right. So here's the biggest ones. The biggest ones are concussion. That would explain the dilated pupils.
Yeah.
Another one is drugs. People said maybe he was selling or maybe he was using. But Lars was like super healthy, so
straight-laced.
I feel like
he would
cut that one off.
McDonald's, so
yeah. But another side to the possible drugs is maybe he was given the wrong pills. Maybe he was given drugs like that he wasn't supposed to be given. Like maybe it wasn't an antibiotic. Maybe it was like fucking heroin. Nobody fucking knows what he was given.
True.
So that leads into
and then eliminated from the
right. And that leads into the next theory, which is a doctor cover-up. And a lot of people are like, okay, maybe this doctor misdiagnosed Lars and didn't want to get in trouble, So he was like, oh, actually, it was something else. But, like, I don't know. Is getting in trouble worth risking someone's life?
That seems less likely to me than a possible police cover-up for human trafficking.
Yeah. Another one is side effects. Earlier in the night, remember he texted his mom and he was like, Cifazil 500, what is this? Maybe he noticed, like, this is making me feel
He was
weird. I don't think
starting
I'm
to
supposed
feel
to take
weird.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe the side effects of it. But then, like, some people said Lars didn't even take his medication because he didn't like medication. Like, maybe he texted her, like, what is this? Because he didn't want to take it. Like, he might not have even taken it. We don't know.
Yeah. Either way,
If
he was questioning it, which is
right.
part of the
If
story.
he did take it, hallucinations are actually a side effect of this drug. But he only took it, like, less than, like, 3 hours before. Like, he just got the medication.
Is used to treat ear infections.
Ear infections, yes. So,
What?
actually, this drug is, so that it does have crazy side effects. There were crazy ratings on this. Most places in Europe actually don't use this particular drug because the side effects are so bad. But Bulgaria does because it's so cheap. So hallucinations are a side effect of it, but people don't think that the side effect would happen within like hours because he just got the medication on the 7th and he disappeared in the early morning hours on the 8th. So, like, did the side effects kick in that quickly?
Depends on your metabolism.
Right.
Though.
And also he was drinking.
An insanely healthy person, which he is presented to be.
Yeah.
It would kick in a little bit faster. But yes, drugs and alcohol always have.
Right. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Like the medication that I take for anxiety says that I should never drink.
Yeah.
Like, you get to know your own body on the medications that you're taking. Yeah. And if he was in a situation where he was taking a drug based on a prevalent medical impairment that he was dealing with, then he might have not had that time to adjust.
Right.
So whether he was taking it or whether he wasn't taking it, and he was like, okay, Mom, like, what is this? Like, this is what they gave me. That could be taken either way, like you said. Like, he's concerned about it, or he's already taking it and he's having something happen that he doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh, and then the other scary. Right. The other obvious, most questioned theory is the mental illness, but he was 28, not early 20s. I know it's different. Yes. Schizophrenia is different for men, but I don't think it's late 20s.
No, it's early 20s. You're correct.
Yeah. And then also on top of that,
ages of 19 and 22, and he was 28. So
yeah, and on top of that, like, we compared this to Elisa Lam and even Bryce Laspisa. In both of those cases, I believe there were documented instances of like iffy behavior that might be mental illness. Yes. And Lars
Bryce Laspisa was drug use, and Elisa Lam was
episodes
because she was younger, early onset of her mental illness.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Lars Mittank has never had any documented history of mental illness for him or anyone in his family. So like,
this doesn't feel mental illness-y to me. I've never seen somebody run from an airport like that.
Yeah. It's scary. What do you think happened?
So unsettling. Ugh. Yeah, it doesn't feel mental illness-y to me. If the medication that he was given for his ears, a possible side effect being hallucinations, maybe? But my ultimate theory is something corrupt. It's not uncommon in Europe.
Feels like
it's not uncommon with young people traveling alone. There are certain hotels in downtown Vancouver that locals are told to never go to because of that reason. So I wouldn't doubt that the Color Hotel or any other similar.
Yeah, I was thinking that too because
it feels very corrupt.
It's definitely not uncommon in Europe. It's definitely not uncommon in lone tourists, and it's also definitely not uncommon in known vacation spots like Panama City Beach and Vegas, which this place is compared to, but in Europe, which makes it even worse, in my opinion. Not like, not a worse place to be, by the way, Europeans, please don't get mad at me, but like
No,
a worse
God,
place
no.
to be taken from,
Yeah.
because it's so much easier. You don't have to fly over to a different country. You just drive
You're
to
already
the next
there.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so,
true.
yeah, it's
And
creepy.
Yeah.
He's running from an airport doctor. So, like, who is involved in this? Like, in a way that makes me think, oh, the doctor is doing something shady, like maybe prescribing the wrong medication, maybe, you know, some sort of doctor cover-up. But then at the same time, like, that's
I've
a big
hated
run.
doctors.
Like,
I've
that's
never
like
run from them.
yeah, that's like a my life is in danger run.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So are the doctors involved in helping with human trafficking? Probably. Possibly. I wouldn't be surprised.
They're being paid off at the airport?
Yeah.
You do this to them?
Yeah.
Make it seem like they went here. We call it a day.
Give them some random medication so that they pass out.
Yeah.
We'll pick them up
Yeah.
while they wait for their flight. Lars's mother believes that he really was trying to get away from someone or something that and she also thinks that maybe he possibly even lost his memory in hiding from them. Like, maybe he really did have a concussion. Maybe he does not know who he is now. Like, he could be out there somewhere trying to figure out who he is. There have been a couple sightings reported to authorities, but when looked into further, none of them actually turned out to be Lars. So Lars has not been sighted. He would be 36 years old today. He is a German male with brown eyes and light brown hair that does tend to turn blonde after being in the sunlight for a long time. When he went missing, he was 5'9", weighed 180 pounds, and had an athletic build. And if you have any information about where he may be, his family urges you to contact their Facebook page, which is facebook.com/findet, FINDET, Lars Mittank, MITTANK. And for obvious reasons, they prefer you contact them because something shady is fucking happening.
Yeah, something shady is happening here. What are your theories?
I really don't know. The only thing I want to hope that he just doesn't know who he is. Like, he had a concussion. He doesn't know what happened. Yeah, it actually really reminded me of the case here in Nashville. Well, not really a case, but the incident here in Nashville where
that couple
sports happened. And yeah, the guy got beat up on and got a concussion and then was like, I'm fine. And then went to go find his phone and never came back because he wasn't fine. And he didn't know where he was and he didn't know what was happening.
Concussions, no matter how small, are serious. Very serious.
It reminds me a lot of that. And I hope that he just has a concussion and he's somewhere living his life even though he doesn't know who he actually is. And one day someone will hear this or see his video and be like, hey, that's you. Like, you have a family.
You look and sound like this person. Can you watch this?
Yeah. Like, I think I found your mom. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh my God.
At the same time, though, I think human trafficking is a scary fucking thing. And, you know, as much as we want it to be fake or only on TV, it's not. And it's a possibility. I don't know what the fuck they would be doing with him, but, I mean...
Yeah.
It is a possibility
that he's
somewhere.
From a completely sexist point of view, it's very much more common for it to involve women or children. So
children, especially. Yeah, but I mean, we heard from episode 5, the Shanghai tunnels, they would take men and send them off and make them slaves. Like, Bulgaria has a very big human trafficking and especially drug trafficking area. And that was another thing. A lot of people were like, oh, I bet he was just trying to transport drugs and he ran because he was scared he was about to get caught. But again, he was a super healthy dude. Maybe if he was like coaxed into it, but not only was he a super healthy dude and probably against drugs, they didn't find any drugs in his suitcase. They had all of his bags.
And
So,
you
I
detect
don't know.
traces of that. When I went to visit Sierra, I brought my laptop with me, and they dusted my laptop for
Yeah.
like possible cocaine, basically, or any other particle drugs. So they could
Residue.
find, yeah, they could find shit. She's laughing because I was like, I was held up because they were dusting my laptop. But it's true. Like they can find basically anything.
No one knows. It's scary. I hope he's found.
That's also
I feel
really
like of
sad.
all the cases, this one is one that seems like it could be, like, maybe not solved, but
Like
that he
it's
could be
attainable.
found.
Like something. Yeah.
Right. It's a foundable case. It doesn't lead me to believe that he is dead. I don't believe he's
Okay.
dead. I'm hopeful that he's out there somewhere. We just don't know where. We don't know what's going on. For being the most famous missing person on YouTube, I feel like I've never heard of this story. Can you
I
believe
haven't
that?
either. No.
Yeah. I found this story because I was Googling craziest disappearance
Because
cases.
of your guess. Because she's like, I want to bring you
Yeah.
into show. And she
Yeah.
came across
And I
Lars.
saw this and I was like, holy shit, how have I never heard of this before? Like, he's the most famous missing person on YouTube. How do I not know what this is?
Yeah.
And the same week I was researching it, Voices for Justice covered it, but I'm not ashamed of covering it after her because her call to action, Sarah Turney, her call to action is always share this story. So here I am doing
That's
what
what
she
we're
said.
doing.
I'm sharing the story.
It's a free platform. We're doing just
Yes.
that. So.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. Let me
No.
close with
'Tis a disappeared
today.
case.
I know. Today is March 29th, and for you today, I have a fun fact that comes out of the
Ooh.
UK.
Ooh.
So we're
Right
rounding it
there
off.
in Europe. Yeah.
On this day in 2014, holy shit, the same year that he went missing.
Oh, God.
Crazy. On this day in 2014, the first same-sex couples married in the UK.
Oh.
This was the Marriage Act.
Get it, girls.
So the Marriage Act
Or
was
men.
passed in 2013. March 29th, 2014 is when same-sex couples in UK finally decided to get married. They were
Hell
like, oh, it's
yeah.
passed? Awesome, let's do this.
Hell yeah.
So there's a little happiness of that year, I guess.
Yeah.
And listen to us next week on Tuesday at the regularly scheduled timing.
Yeah. We will be here
Until
next
then-
week for your regularly scheduled program.
Until then, you can keep an eye out for Lars Mittank.
Yes.
Don't take medications if you don't know what they are.
Always ask
Try
your
not to
mom.
rupture your
Yeah.
eardrum. Oh gosh, please ask whoever you need to ask about all the things. I'm not as good as Alicia at these life tips. So anyway,
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. And in the meantime,
keep it twisted.
Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked podcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can also check out all of our sources and materials, as well as photos for the episode, on our website at twistedanduncorked.com. And you can follow us on social media at Twisted and Uncorked or Twisted_pod on Twitter. Thank you so much for all of your love and support, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode. Cheers!